Hey, everybody. I just wanted to take a minute and share a quick word with you concerning today's message that was shared at the Oaks. Today we had a time, and Pastor Chris was teaching, and as he has been teaching from the book of John. Today we were studying in John 18 and 19, and as he reached John 19, verse 1, he was talking about how Christ was flogged. And it really hit me. We've talked about Christ being flogged a lot as individuals, not Pastor Chris, but as individuals. We've talked about, we've watched the movie The Passion of Christ. We've watched different movies about Christ, his punishment. I know I've watched the movie Passion of Christ. I have the movie The Passion of Christ. I haven't been able to watch it since I watched it in the movie theater. But when he got to John chapter 19, verse 1, it hit me a certain way. And I'm just going to read that for you real quick. And it says, Then Pilate took Jesus and had him flogged. And when he read that verse, it stuck with me. And he began describing about that particular punishment, that particular part of Christ's ministry. And it just kind of stuck with me and it hit me again. And I just was stuck there for a minute. And he continued teaching it. But as he continued teaching, God had me there for a minute and it just resonated with me again. What and everything that Christ went through for us. And I tell you, I just couldn't move on for a moment. And as he did that, I began writing down something that I just wanted to share with you to remind you, because I know we're living in a time where the enemy wants to remind us of everything that's going on, everything that we're suffering through, all the things that seem bad in life and how difficult it's been. We all want to, people are reminding us all the time about the pandemic, about all the job loss, all the bad things, and all the chaos that's around us. But today I want to remind you of everything good that we have hope for, because not just because of who we are, but because of who Christ is. Everything that Christ went through was so that we can look up. I want to remind us to look up because of who Christ is. Look up because he paid an ultimate price. Look up because he already paid and went through all of this so that you don't have to think about the chaos every day. You don't have to think about how negative life is. You don't have to think about how detrimental, all the bad things are going to be, how bad the situation is, how that you are a victim of life circumstances. You are a victor. You are overcomer because Christ already paid the price for you. So let me just share with you really briefly what the Lord gave to me while I was sitting in service today. As soon as Pastor Chris began sharing about the punishment that Christ went through for us, God dropped this in my spirit. He reminded me that the flogging of Christ was so severe, man couldn't have endured it. He took the whip with bones, balls, chains 39 times to make sure life trials I could survive. He was tortured, so victim I would not be called, but overcomer and victor I now claim. He was scourged so I could withstand the storms. He was exposed to pain so severe, the pain and suffering I now endure would be lessened. His punishment was so severe that each day I realized my troubles pale in comparison. Think about that. His punishment was so severe when they flogged him, when they scourged him, that my troubles pale in comparison to what Christ went through that day. When I wake in the morning, I look in the mirror. I can recognize myself. When I walk around my home, when I visit, when I go to work, people can recognize me. Facial recognition. Some of us use our phones and we do facial recognition. You can be noticed. But his beating, his scourging, his flogging was so severe, he was barely recognizable. My God. Mary, his own mother, could barely recognize him because he went through this pain and this suffering so that we could be overcomers, so that we could be victors, not victims, so that we can wake up in the morning and know that it's a brand new day, so that we have been bought by the blood that was spilled out from his body, so that when the flesh was tore from his back, so that when he can get up on, and then that wasn't even the end of the story. That was just the beginning of his suffering for you and I, so that we can have a brand new day every day. So why am I reminding of us this of the all of us of this? So that every day when we get up and the world wants to remind us, when social media, when the news media, when everything that we see wants to tell us how bad it is, when it wants to tell us that we're a victim of our circumstances, when it wants to tell us that everything around us is horrible, we can say, no, Christ already paid the price. Those 39 whips and stripes, the cat o' nine tails, the suffering, the crown of thorns on his head, when he was resurrected up on that cross. When he was lifted up on the cross, all paid the price. So that I can get up and I say, I am a victor. Circumstances may not be what I want them to be every day, but what Christ went through was way worse than the pain I'm ever going through. So today, I want you to remember, and I even wrote down here, Father, help us to realize all you went through for us so that we can all go through for you. I love you today. I want you to be reminded that you are a victor, not a victim. You're not made bad by your circumstance. You're made better by your circumstance because your elder brother, Jesus Christ, already conquered every situation. God bless you.